deluding yourself into believing that you live forever is a very wonderful thing. Well, first of all, you never consent to dying. You cannot just willingly decide when it's time to die and willingly decide to stop the process of dying. It's not something consensual. It just happens. So it's not your fault. So because it is not your fault, you don't really have obligations to care about that. So just imagine you have infinite time. So what does it give you? So let's say you have a friend with whom you quarrel a lot and don't feel comfortable with, or maybe they manipulate you, or you feel guilty towards them for doing something, some transgressions, I don't know. But you understand that you are not ready for this friendship, and maybe the friend as well. So you just let them go, and because you live forever and your friend lives forever, you just give them time to heal, time to think things through, and with infinite time you will grow compatible someday, and you can give your friendship a new shot. And the same with a relationship. If you understand that your partner is not exactly partnering, then you can let them go and see if it was worth it, or if you both will grow into being compatible and healthy for each other again, or maybe for the first time. Depends on what things you realize. But you don't have the time pressure thing in your mind, therefore you don't have to develop coping mechanisms and force yourself out of your own personal pressure. So you can give yourself that valuable perspective of being released. You are not in the hostage situation anymore, because you are not the hostage of your own fear of time, and therefore that fear, it's not in the way of the mental processes required for healing and for growth. So they will happen faster. It's wonderful. And you might say, but there is death. Yes, there is death, but your friend or you might die regardless of whether you believe you are aging or not aging. So let's say you are aging. Tomorrow, a brick can fall on their head, and your ex lover or friend will be gone. And the same is true if neither of you are aging. Death is not consensual thing, so you don't have to, you know, keep it in mind, because it's not something you are able to change. There is no point to worry about something you cannot change. Therefore, there is no point in caring about aging or believing that it has to make influence on you. So just delude yourself into thinking that you live eternal life. And then you can see your enemies as friends who are to be. I mean, you just give them time to, satisfy their needs, come to compromises with themselves and with other people, and eventually start seeking connections instead of, you know, rivalries. And you will see romantic partner or partners, depending on what your preferences are, I suppose, um, as family to be, because even if you have parted ways, you just understand that eventually you both will be worth each other. Or maybe you will realize that you were forcing yourself into something that it is, that is not supposed to happen. You just realize that there are better options for both of you, and you don't fear, because you don't have to, you know, treat yourself like you are some sort of reproductive organ and you have to reproduce until your expiry time comes or something. Wonderful. It's more meaningful relationships and therefore more productive unions and greater loyalty. It's just, I can't compare it to anything more beautiful. So delude yourself into thinking that you live forever. And make no mistake, you must not forget that death is not something others consent to. It's also part of their life equation on both ends. They're constant, they cannot affect. So it must be removed from their lives as well. So if you think that you are such a special person who alone is given the right to exist forever and while everyone else has expiry date, then you dehumanize them as well and treat them as, I don't know, as resources that must be, turned into something until they are gone. And that leaves you in a very lonely position, because then only your experience matters, because it will not have expiry date. It is not supposed to have expiry date. And then you are trapped in hell. In hell where there are only objects, only things everywhere. And what will you do with that? Why? Why live like that? Why be alone in a pile of resources? Do you really want that? I don't think so. You want something meaningful, don't you? So you're not only living forever, but you're living in the world where everyone lives forever. Believe that.